Let's head over to AEW because we got to get through this news. So everybody, let's Ichi Nissan. Everyone's got wait, we it up one more time. Okay, I think we got it that time. I think it was good that time. Okay, so post-wrestling post that Rita Chatterton reveals she was under contract to AEW for 1 year and calls Tony Khan a gentleman.
You what?
Why would he have her hired for a year, chat? That's what I don't understand. Either the dude just really loves helping people he thinks that have been done wrong in the wrestling business, or there's some weird slime ball type going on behind the scenes with this, or she's lying. Because listen, a lot of people have called her a liar over the years, but as time has gone on and we know about Vince more, it's kind of like, liar! That's what it's got to be. It's one of those three things. I'm pulling a Meltzer here, but I think that's some kooky territory to have Rita Chatterton on contract for a year for nothing. And she goes on to say, like, she didn't do anything. He didn't ask anything of her. So, like, good for him if he was just like, I'm going to take care of this person I felt was victimized. But a lot of people are starting to speculate, again, with like Martha Hart meeting up with Janelle Grant's people. A lot of people are speculating, you know, there's some nefarious conspiratorial, the black helicopters, you know, are going on around AEW land. So we'll keep an eye out there. Moving along here. We have, well, yeah, here's I guess an audio clip of Post explaining it. And I don't know why I double bookmarked it, but here we go. Shout out Post Wrestling Cafe, by the way. And let's take a listen.
Power and Glory podcast, where Rita Chatterton notes that she was under contract to AEW for a year. And in this explanation was Tony Khan, through a mutual friend, got a hold of Rita Chatterton, and somehow Rita Chatterton was signed to a contract in AEW, and she emphasizes, I did nothing for this time. I was paid. I went to some Jacksonville Jaguars games. And
that's crazy.
And I mean, this was just like the
hey, Rita, name one Jaguars player, you know? Why the fuck would she be there?
Wildest thing. Just to hear about that. Rita Chatterton was there under contract with AEW.
Yeah, I don't know, guys. Something. So we have Ref MJ from NJ's like, why was Rita Chatterton? When was she signed? Who else is signed to AEW and Top Secret? Where was this guy's laying it all out? Who, what, where, when? Hi, wow. So where was any previous report on this by any of the wrestling media reporters? Well, they only know what people tell them, bro. What was she doing for AEW? According to her, nothing. Yeah, so you have the answer there. And how does this not get previously reported? Well, you asked that before, but yeah, he should get asked about this at the next press conference, right? And then everybody will melt down and be like, oh, why are they asking these questions? And then the other side will be like, how dare they not ask these questions? So lose no matter what. But I mean, play stupid games, win stupid prize. This seems just weird for him to do overall. I just think that's a weird thing. But I'm a mark. That's my perception of it. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, and let's say he just really wanted to help her. Okay, guys, I don't know. Tony Khan has revealed that AEW Grand Slam Australia is one of the biggest gates in the history of the company. This is one of our biggest international events ever. It's one of our biggest gates in history of AEW. We're really excited for that. Outside of Wembley Stadium in London, this is going to be, I believe, our biggest international live gate of all time. It's a very exciting event for AEW. Source Down Under the Ring, shout them out, and Cultaholic, who reposted it. Yeah, so one of their biggest, I mean, good for them, you know, if it's in the top few. I mean, I don't know how many large ones. He said it was like over 1 million. So 1/3 of a Moxley's deal of a Moxley contract, right? So that's good for them. However, a lot of people are outraged, and like I said, when I was scrolling Twitter, all I saw were people just outraged at, man, they've been making us wait for 2 hours over here, and I know like people voicing their displeasure gets pushed the most, but I've had some people like DM me directly, like, bro, I spent this much and there's people walking up getting tickets for this much. What the, and it's a messy situation. I can't wait to see it on TV. We already got spoilers and awful wrestling posts. AEW Dynamite rating, terrible. Got spanked by NXT. Yeah, so, coming off the back of what I said was a good Dynamite and a good Collision, I thought overall, and then leading into this, well, it's not a pay-per-view, even though they said it was a pay-per-view like innumerable times. We covered it here on the show. Tony said it. The AEW's own account tweeted out it was a pay-per-view. The dirt sheet said they asked about it and they said it was a pay-per-view. It was supposed to be a pay-per-view, okay? So the go-home show for what everyone thought was a pay-per-view, 579K viewers, dude. I could not believe it. I don't know what to say about it. I quote tweeted this. I was like, they could sign John Cena. It won't make a difference. It's just the bad faith, I think, that's been garnered, and not bad faith in the way that people, this is a bad faith. I mean, literally, like, people have no faith left. That's what I mean. They could bring John Cena in. I don't think the ratings go up to the milli that everybody's coveting. Now, the max numbers, that's always the excuse that's being brought up. No one, I'm so sorry. They are inconsequential. Otherwise, we'd hear people flexing them, and they're roughly the same. Dynamite was doing roughly 600 and some thousand every show. So then all of a sudden, you mean to tell me like, oh, there's 400,000 extra people watching on Max? I don't believe that. Okay. So the rating, not so good. However, the game is going to streaming. You guys know I'm not in the know. I don't give up about them not getting a milli. But listen, someone pointed it out earlier. They're down 30% like year over year, whatever, whereas NXT's growing. So what is NXT doing that AEW's not doing? Is it just bad faith grifters, or is it the fact that for years the same criticism everyone gave Vince McMahon? Okay, Tony Khan, you're spread too thin. All right. And we need some order. We need some long-term booking, and not just long-term as in like, well, the Whitepool clan's going to run out every week and for the next 30 weeks, there's got to be more to it than that. Yeah, like I said, if it was me, I'd have Samoa Joe. Just people go nuts for Joe, dude. And he's a guy that his world championship run, I think, was so bumbled in AEW. And I think that he should beat Christian's ass for that contract and then just cash in it on Mox and beat him and just put an end to that. And just, I'm serious, dude. Joe versus Omega. That's the fans want to see. Okay. We don't want to see Garcia running out there. And I'm sorry. Garcia can't be the guy running off the Whitepool Club after they've just been like kidnapping FTR, then releasing them every week, then kidnapping them, then releasing them and dumping bleach and doing all this stuff. But it's Garcia and Cool Hand Ange, who hasn't even been on TV in like so long. Though that's the dude. And then Matt Menard's been on commentary. And they're just running off the most dangerous, feared group on the planet, No, dude, who are like willing to commit murders and kidnappings. No, dude, it's not going to work. Listen to the fans. The fans don't want that. Okay. I don't care about the milli rating. I don't care about the attendances. Run the smaller buildings. I applaud all of that. I even said the last Dynamite, pretty good for me, since being a day one AEW guy. I was like, that was a pretty good Dynamite. There's always that happens after matches. So, it's like I don't want to like ever give it a pass, but you kind of let that go a little bit. And then the Collision was decent too. Pretty goddamn good show. Gave me the old Collider vibes, right? When Punk was doing things. But that being said, man, there needs to be a drastic change. Man, just the creative. At the end of the day, if it's Tony saying yes or no to every single thing, man, it feels like there's too many people off in their own worlds doing their own, and people aren't like working together for the betterment of the company. And and you can't tell me the ratings don't matter. Like, why are NXTs going up and up then? Wrestling is hot right now. One company's just trending the other way. And it's the same with when WWE's we're like, dude, there's one guy who's the final yes or no. And that's the guy we want to get out of the way. And then this will be fun again. And then they figured that part out. Well, not really. They had to force him out of the company, but thank God they did that. Whereas with Tony, it's like the same thing's going to happen, but because he's too nice, like the opposite of Vince. You know what I mean? It's like the opposite of Vince, but it's like, bro, you're too nice. You have to get out of the way or this is never going to turn around. Because I know people want to say, well, it's more jobs and more money. I agree with that aspect. But at the same time, there's people ruining their legacies. And bro, there's people who a lot like MJF went from someone people were like, throw him in the main event with Cody to literally people are like, put him in NXT if he ever. I don't even think he should ever go to WWE now. That's how like fall low the mighty have fallen, you know? Whereas you have like Hurt Syndicate doing good. And to me, the people doing the best, like Ricochet, just came from WWE. So it's like, God damn it. So again, WWE could have gave Ricochet the ball and let him do this psychopath stuff and everything. But also if history didn't play out this way, because I genuinely think this is some of Ricochet's best work. Like I'll put it over too, you know? It's not like profound that's going to turn everything around for AEW either. You got to find one or two stories that are just so compelling. People are like, I have to tune in. Watching Edge beat up a briefcase with a spiked bat, like reliving all his old from WWE, bro, that's not going to do it. I'm sorry. Pushing Daniel Garcia down our throats is not going to do it. I'm so sorry to whoever that offends, even Garcia. I'm not even a Garcia hater. If there was like a junior heavyweight division, a light heavyweight division, perfect. Have him tap everyone out and stretch everyone. Yeah, there's just certain guys that Tony's insistent on pushing that just, and then there's a bunch of guys he doesn't put on TV, like Ricky Starks, thank God he's gone. Like Miro, thank God he's gone. Like Roosh, thank God they're starting to run vignettes for him again. And, you know, there's a bunch of these dudes we want to see. Fans are like, give us this. And it's not like book everything the way we think either. That's what WWE's doing well too. They're swerving us into thinking we want something, but then they give us something we maybe didn't know we want, or they give us like one or two things we want, and then they give us Jey Uso winning the Rumble, which many of us maybe didn't know we even wanted. And now that we're seeing it, we're like, God damn, that was the right move, right? So again, I'm trying to be constructive here, and I know I'm burying Tony Khan, but goddamn, 579, and then NXT's go, you know, like growing so much, and I don't know. Now people can tell me, oh, there was news on, there was a basketball game, whatever. I don't give a. I hate these dumb ratings games, but because that's the narrative and the conversation Meltzer and everyone wants to make it about, that's the one we have to run with. Because that's Alvarez wanted to go, oh, it'll be a slaughter and like double ouch. And it's like, okay, then we have to dissect that to show why you look stupid. Moving along here. Mercedes Monet says, I wanna wrestle Billia and Athena. So she wants to wrestle Athena and Billy Starks. Where's what is that, Wayne's World, where Wayne's like, oh dear God, please God, no. Like when I think it's Wayne's World 2 where Cassandra's getting married. So he like maybe it's Wayne's World 1, but he drives up to the glass and he's like banging on the window, Cassandra, and she's like about to get married. Oh God, please, dear God, no. And this is why, not that Athena and Mercedes won't cook as a match, and not that I don't want to see Athena get shine. You guys know that I fucking beg for Athena to get more shine, but Mercedes will go and take Athena's belt, and bro, and that is the last thing we need right now. Okay. Yeah, dude. Hopefully Monet doesn't go and take the Ring of Honor belt too. I'm scared she's gonna. And Monet had this to say. She goes, if I listed the people I wanted in AEW, the other place would sign them. I don't believe that. I think she cares way too much. Like this all stems from the Meg the Stallion thing. But WWE was already trying to get her to do stuff with them. And then Monet brought it up or met up with her at an award show. Then WWE brought her in and they're like, she's like, oh, it's because of me type. Maybe they like pulled the trigger on it quickly, but they were always like, Bianca was calling out Meg like years prior and stuff. Maybe you could make the argument that's why they made it happen. But Meg was also going through a bunch of legal, like a bunch of legal. So I just don't know about that. And here's the other thing. If Meg gets approached with AEW or WWE, what's her team going to be like? Do this thing. You know what I mean? Do this thing instead. Moving along here. AEW sources have informed me. This is Chris Featherstone. Now, Again, he was hitting at first with the Penta Rey news. I'm going to believe this because I think he's got a direct line with Penta and Rey. But some of his WWE he was off on. He was looking silly there, being like, oh, they told me the winner of the Rumble was going to be Jay on Tuesday. And he said it after the Rumble. It's like, bro, come on now. So people clowned him for that, rightfully so. That's just dumb to even say that. But Chris Prolific claims here that AEW sources have informed me that negotiations between Tony Khan and Rey Fenix to end Phoenix's tenure with the company are progressing. I hope so. I hope Phoenix reached out to them and was like, bud, you released all these guys, man. On delay with my what's going on. And so tenure with the company and progressing, and resolution is expected to happen soon. I was also informed that Tony Khan has been heavily advised to put an end to this soon regarding Phoenix's holding period. Yeah, that's how you know that the releases were reactionary to WWE's and he's still being petty. And I'm sorry, Tony Petty. It's just the truth, because he would have just let Rey go with that group as well. But he knows, like, to him, that's like a petty thing. No, I have to leave him frozen and Penta's over there. I bet he's regretting letting go of Starks the way he did, because they just brought him in the day after. And Tony's going to bring in Cedric and a few, maybe a couple of these other WWE folk. But yeah, I'll take Chris Featherstone's word for this, because he was right about the Penta Phoenix stuff before. Like, Phoenix directly responded to his tweet saying, this is the most accurate thing. So it obviously came from their camp or whatever. Yeah, I just can't wait to see Rey Fenix thrive in WWE like he should. And again, go back to the early PWT days, and I'm like, push Rey and push Penta, and Rey's going to be your Rey Mysterio. AEW, Rey's your Rey Mysterio right there. That's your guy that you could blow up to that level. Maybe, who knows? But they seemingly lost the plot there with them, and Rey Fenix, just a tremendous talent. So let's see here. Raj Giri talks about how Dynamite scored its lowest ratings of the year for this past Wednesday's episode. Dynamite averaged 579K viewers, 4.3, blah, 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 with a 0.06 on a 18-9, down 6%. Steiner math, Tony Khan. Oh, okay, that's where it just gets... Who gives a shit? Okay, it's its lowest rating. Not who gives a. Thank you, Raj, for doing this, so I don't have to. Right? So we have the data out there, but okay, right? 6 in primetime, original. Okay, whatever. The 4th lowest in history in its regular time slot. So this is what I'm saying. How do we turn this around? Because obviously AEW, and this is the thing. People want to say, "Who cares, man? Just enjoy it." Well, I do. I watch it every week. I still watch it every week, so don't tell that to me. You're telling the wrong person. But it's like, how do we fix this, though? Because all the sickos can't tell me they wouldn't be happy if their show was doing 2 million on TV like WWE was. If the shoe was completely on the other foot, they'd be running laps in the ring like the Bucks with their hands in the air, running laps, thinking they won something, okay? If the shoe is on the other foot, and rightfully so, okay? But the thing is that we have to turn this around. Like, how do we get this to where it should be good? Like, okay, great. A billionaire spending a bunch of money on that's awesome. Okay, it's been 6 years of that now, and it's trending downwards year over year over year. How can we turn that around so it trends even upwards from here? 1% year over year over year, 5%. Tony Khan there would be no AEW Dynamite on TNT if he actually didn't care about TV ratings, if he actually didn't want millions of people. He wouldn't have advertised during WWE shows saying how he was crushing NXT in the beginning if he didn't want WWE numbers. So the cope of like, well, the TV ratings don't matter. Wrong. They do. Now, if AEW's social media, YouTube, was doing just gangbusters and they were doing ratings like this and they're on streaming, I'd be like, okay, I'd be more inclined to give them some leeway. Well, look, they're crushing it over here. And the way of the future streaming, guys, okay? It's total minutes viewed and all that, like we talked about before with Dose. And that's why these conversations are sort of out of touch. But there's not 400,000 people watching on Max. So I hate the whole, like, they did this, but like Meltzer go, they did this, but we don't know the Max numbers. Dave, the max numbers are like 10K more. Stop trying to, let's find solutions to fix the problem, not just cope and make excuses all the time, man. It just turns fans off, man. It makes us not want to even watch this. And people like Real One who, listen, the dude is just trolling 100%. And this is what I mean. This too makes AEW look worse, and he doesn't care. Like, I always bring it up because I actually care. He doesn't give a though. This guy just is making money off of trashing WWE and coping over AEW, and it creates a narrative where like all sickos are like this when they're not. And also he just uses the money off X to put towards buying WWE. So this is what Tony means when he's talking about like all the bots, you know. So Real One says apparently Grand Slam Australia will be a massive success for AEW, especially in terms of gate money. But they said it was going to be a massive failure. Yeah, I don't know if I think it is a massive failure just over the fact that people feel gypped, man. And people went there expecting like a pay-per-view, and they got a Ring of Honor AEW TV taping. And we're expecting like a big stadium production, and they got this dingy dark room with like a below average stage setup, and they had to get a ring. The whole ring situation, we're going to talk about that in a minute. I got an interesting DM. But yeah, ticket sales are what they are. I mean, what did they expect? They don't have a big audience in Australia. And who's that per? The Australian fans, okay, that have made their voices heard. We watched this Dynamite, okay? So Josh Alexander is expected to be AEW bound. So Fightful's going out on a limb and just gossiping that they're expected to be AEW bound. So, okay, we'll keep our eyes on it. And yeah, Cross 306 1980 in the chat says, I thought touting Gates was a disgusting promotional tactic. Exactly. So touting Gates, they literally voted as like the fourth most disgusting promotional tactic. Not Ibu charging to stooge Tony Khan's secrets and MJF secrets in a Discord. Not lying and saying you're doing a pay-per-view in another country, and then turns out it's a Ring of Honor taping, half of the show that you paid thousands of dollars to get to. But yeah, flexing Gates is a disgusting tactic. Get out of here, man. People are just tired of this gaslighting. You know what I mean? But yeah, maybe Alexander, I broke that down earlier. He'll be successful wherever he goes. So the Mole, speaking of the Mole earlier, okay? And again, we keep a close eye on the Mole here. Is he right? He's predicted some that's like, wow, how would he have known this or that? But again, man, there's such things as lucky guesses, right? I said it earlier. Thought I was the Mole. Why? Because I can predict some of this if you just pay attention, you know? But the Mole's also been wrong about that. He's deleted, and then he says, well, you know, cards subject to change. Things change all the time in wrestling. So I don't know. I talked to the dude. I keep him at arm's length, and I'm okay with him doing this. Let's say it's an elaborate troll. Okay. Every dirt sheet in the book has tried to follow this guy. And he's weary about these, like, should I let this guy follow me? And he asks people, should I let this guy in the circle or no? Who's this guy? I don't know who this is. Dirt sheet guy. Blah, blah, blah. Who knows? Yeah, who knows? But Tony Khan says last Wednesday night was excellent. So what the Mole is saying is that Tony is privy to the fact that he says this is great about everything. Guys, it's on the soundboard.
It's great.
Right? Everything's great to Tony. And so he's been made aware of that, and now he's using other words now, which it makes a lot of sense. Last Wednesday night, instead of saying was great, was an excellent AEW Dynamite. Saturday Collision is on a tremendous run of great shows currently. He let one great slide. Now we're only hours away from another excellent Wednesday night. You know, so he's using words like tremendous and excellent instead of this is great for everything. That's what the Mole's claiming. Who knows if that's true, but Cornette roasts it. I roast it. I was roasting it before Cornette, by the way. I will go out there and say that. And shout out Cornette and Mrs. C if you're out there listening in tonight. Miro and CJ Perry, now this is according to the newsletter, were reportedly under the impression that they would be put together as a pair on screen following World's End 2023. Yeah, that seemed like the logical next step, no? And be pushed as a top act in AEW. Now, whether they're a top act or not, who knows? Yeah, again, I'll say it, bro. Miro doesn't want to do job. People are like, oh, he had an ego. He didn't want to do jobs. If he doesn't want a job to Cassidy or Garcia, bro, that's his prerogative. He was driven out to fight John Cena on a tank at WrestleMania. This guy's allowed to not just put people over because, okay? He's allowed to not put over Darby if Darby's going to go tackle Mount Kilimanjaro or Mount Fuji or whatever. Right? What is he doing again? Everest, right? It doesn't make sense for Miro to like lose to someone who's not going to consistently be booked, and especially because he gets pops when he comes out there. And as Cornette would say, he didn't really get any on him, and so yeah, I'd love to see him back in WWE. I would bring them both back. Like nothing was wrong with Lana and Rusev Day. Go back to the well. That was selling like hotcakes. It worked. It wasn't broken, but Vince thought, I'll fix it, pal. I'll cuck him out, pal. You know? And then Tony's like, I'll do sort of the same thing. I'll have her manage other dudes and make him feel inferior to his own wife. I hope Miro, figures it all out here. So AEW and ROH announcer Ian Riccaboni has filed to trademark Riccaboni Zone. So just some random AEW news there for you. The Riccaboni Zone. So MJ from NJ again reacting to Tony Khan signing Rita Chatterton. And yeah, she laughed and was like, he wanted me under a contract, so I was under contract with him. Pourquoi? Pourquoi?